Today I'm going to be making a layout, and it's going to be a 2-page layout focusing on how to use an 8x8 paper pad on a 12x12 layout. I provided a sketch on my blog, so check the video description below to see the sketch I'll be using today. I'm going to start by punching 6 little tiny strips of paper with that scalloped edge, because I want to have a scalloped edge border go all the way across the top and bottom of each of the 2 layouts. So I'm going to draw a line 1 inch from the bottom and 1 inch from the top of the page, and then I'm putting a line of score tape, or you could use red tape or HEG or glue, whatever you want to use, it will be fine. And I'm putting it on either on the outside of the lines closer to the edges of the paper. And I'm going to lay down my paper strips. And when I lay down my next paper strip, I'm going to slightly overlap the first one so that the scallops flow neatly across the page and the join is not obvious. And that's just going to give it a little bit of a more finished look. And I'm going to do that with all 6 strips so I have a border on the top and bottom of each page. And then I'm starting to add my photos. And here's my journaling spot. And I printed my journaling right on a piece of pattern paper from the collection. And you can see that by adhering my photos straight to the cardstock and by pre-planning, by using a sketch that I drew, I'm able to use very small pieces of pattern paper. So I can get quite a nice, bright, colorful, layered looking layout from just a few little pieces of paper. And the fact that the pad is 8x8 doesn't matter. So if you like to do layouts and mini albums, this is a way that you can use your smaller paper pads for both a layout and a mini album. I'm going to continue to lay down my photos, and I printed these photos with a white mat in Photoshop, so they'd already be matted. And I like to use a variety of different sized photos on my layouts, and I often like them to have a white edge. So Photoshop is a great program for me to use. And I haven't used any of the papers more than once. So far, I like the idea that I'm using several different papers. Now I'm going to add just a tiny strip of pink, because I want to add a little border strip cut from the paper, and this is October Afternoon's Fly a Kite. But the paper itself didn't really have an edge on it, so that's why I'm putting down these 2 tiny little strips of pink, and that will give the little strip a look of having an edge for the page. And then I'm just going to add more little border strips to the side here, and these again is 8x8, so I have to sort of weld them together, but it's easy to do. And I could do the same exact thing with 6x6 paper because the layout is 12x12, so I could use 2 strips end to end. In this one I'm just going to use 1 little strip cut down. And I just made sure when I cut my second strip that it would line up, the pattern would line up and be continuous, so that it would look like one piece of paper, which it does. Now I'm going to add some embellishments. These are strips of green cardstock. I added score tape to the back, and now I'm just laying them down and putting some white stitching on the edges. And I put white stitching on both the top and bottom edge of the green cardstock, on both the top and bottom of both sides of the layout. And now I've laid out my title with some American Craft stickers, and I glued them down with a Scotch Quick Dry because their adhesive just doesn't really hold up over time, especially humid as it is here in Miami. And now I'm taking some twine from the twinery, and I'm stringing it through some buttons from Jelly Bean Soup and attaching them to the page. And this is going to give it a little bit more color, a little bit more fun. Here's my second piece of journaling. And this is a list of numbers of what each photo is. And then the numbers you see, I'm sticking some numbers to a piece of score tape. Those numbers are from the Pink Paisley Hometown Summer paper collection. And they are from the page that looks like a little hopscotch. So that just gives it a kind of like when you look in a photo book and all the photos are numbered and labeled. So there's the layout. It's simple, but it's bright, colorful, and fun, and it'll easily fit into an album. I've taken the same 8x8 paper pad and made a mini album with the papers. This is with what was left over from the layout. I made the layout first, and then I went on to making this 6x6 mini. It's a fun little chipboard mini. I titled it Lazy Summer Days, and I've just added photo mats for 3x4 photos and little strips of paper, and I've layered the paper, added some stamping. I used little strips of paper, so I didn't consume too much paper making this mini album, but it's still bright and it's fun, and it has happy summer embellishments, little buttons, stamps, twine. It's very cheerful, and it's a great place to put just your everyday summer photos for your kids or what you do with your family when you run around in the summer. Here's a little matchbook that I made that slides under this photo, or photo mat rather. And there's plenty of buttons and added embellishments. I used a lot of bows of twine and jute in this album. I loved the bright, whimsical look that gave. And then you still have a ton of paper left over in the pad, especially a lot of scraps from the layout. So here's something that you can do with the scraps from the layout. This is a 6x6 piece of cardstock that I folded in half to make a 3x6 card base. And you can get 4 of these card bases from one piece of cardstock. And I'm just going to take the little scraps of paper that are left over from the collection and the other projects and layer them. So here I've punched the corner of that blue piece, which is going to be my main patterned paper, and I punched it with the yellow crocodile, and then I punched the cardstock with the blue, and the rounded corner from the yellow crocodile nests inside the rounded corner from the blue crocodile. So it gives you a perfect edge all the way around. Then I just punched a border on the other little strip, the accent piece, just to give it a little bit more interest. And now I'm going to take another little small strip of scrap from the collection and adhere it down to the accent piece. And the little strip of flowers has both the blue and the yellow in it, so it kind of ties the two colors together. And now I'm going to take more twine from the twinery, and I'm getting quite a lot of it because I'm going to wrap it around the card from top to bottom 3 times. So I went 3 strands of twine vertically on the card. And I had, for some reason, a huge problem getting the twine wrapped around it. And then after I finally got the twine wrapped around the card, I realized I had to tie a bow, which those of you who've been watching my videos for a while know that bows don't tie easy around here. So I'm not sure if for me this was so quick and easy of a card, but there you go. Now that I've got my bow tied, I'm just going to trim the edges so that they're even. And I'm going to add a stamped image to the card. And because you can use all your different colored scraps to make a bunch of these little tiny cards, they're 3x6 and they fit in a regular number 10 envelope. They'll have a lot of extra room in the envelope, but it's not going to hurt them. I thought it'd be good for a party invitation for your summer pool parties or your summer birthday parties or whatever. So I stamped a ticket stamp in the Jenny Bolin Lemon Drop ink, which is a nice yellow. And then I used the cough syrup stamp to stamp "It's a Party" inside the ticket and adhered it to the page near the bow. And that finished off the card. So there you can see a quick and easy card with the scraps left over from your layout and your mini album.